Hello, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. Mitzi Cruz here, host of Lincoln Live, and today I am so excited for our special guest, Marguerite Crespillo. Marguerite is just a phenomenal woman, and she's been a pillar of the Lincoln community now for several decades, and I'm really excited.
Wait a minute, decades. Hold on. Not that many. Just a minute.
Well, how long have you lived in Lincoln?
25 years.
That's my point.
Right. But decade sounds like 100, right?
Well, centuries.
2.5 decades. There we go.
Well, enough to be a very positive impact in this community. And Marguerite, can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm super honored to be here. This is in a way a little bit of a dream come true, because a couple years ago, you and I were just sitting talking one day about ideas, and the idea came up about Lincoln Live, and never had any idea it would take off to what it has been, but it's a true testament to what you've done with it and the consistency of it. So great job, girl.
Oh, thank you.
So I've been in real estate for 25 years. I actually celebrated my 25th anniversary on December 23rd, kind of crazy. And the very first real estate transaction I ever wrote after I got my license was on this house. And we are here in my home in Lincoln. We live off of Sierra College Boulevard. We live out in the country. And I like to kind of tell the story about when we bought our house, because I think that it relates to a lot of people. Crazy as it sounds, when I was 15 years old, I've always been a journaler. And I wrote in my journal that I wanted a 5-acre ranch by the time I was 30 years old, because I'd gone to visit a friend who lived out on acreage. And it looked like such a huge place. It felt like a big estate, right, when I was 15 years old. And so about a year before I turned 30, my husband and I had been looking for a home on some land. And my husband grew up in the Loomis area, and he wanted to live in the general Loomis area. And back then, you looked for houses in the newspaper, back in the old days. And this house came up, and it said Newcastle, right? And so I said, well, how about Newcastle? He goes, yeah, I don't really care, somewhere close to Loomis. So I remember driving out Sierra College Boulevard, and nothing was here yet. 12 Bridges wasn't here, Lincoln Crossing. The road wasn't even cut in yet. And came out, and the road that we live on was a dirt road at the time. And I remember driving down the dirt road. I came around the corner, and there was a huge oak tree there with a tree house. And I had my son Jordan at the time, who was 5. And I remember calling Joe and saying, hey, I found the house we're going to buy. He's like, oh, no, we're not buying a house. I'm like, oh, yes, we are. And I remember pulling up to the house, and it was vacant because it was bank owned, and walking around. It had this huge kitchen. I called him back. I said, you need to come out here. We're buying a house. He goes, we're not buying a house. I said, yes, we are. Well, as you know, we ended up buying this house. We closed in January of 1994. And I could not love it more. I love where we live. I love the Lincoln community. And when we bought our house back then, there was only 5,000 people in the town of Lincoln.
Wow.
And now there's close to 60,000, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so that was also the beginning of my real estate career, because I just got my license, bought this house, and started selling real estate, and I just fell in love with it. The opportunity to help people accomplish something that many don't think that they could accomplish is like, I can't even imagine what else I would do. I mean, right. I didn't go to college. I don't have a college education or any of that. But I have been blessed now to have helped, well over 3,000 people in the real estate industry, help people buy and sell homes. And a big part of that has been in the Lincoln community. So the fact that this community has grown so crazy has helped, obviously, with the real estate industry.
Well, and I know beyond even your role as a realtor, you have become so accomplished in so many other aspects. I mean, you're a mentor. You mentor new agents or agents that are maybe struggling, that want their business to look a little different. You were a huge mentor and still continue to be a huge mentor of mine, professionally, personally, in many ways. You've also been called to speak at several different national conferences for NAR, for the National Association of Realtors, for CAR, the California Association of Realtors. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Well, I have to say, it's funny how I started ending up on the speaking circuit, because that really was never in my radar. It wasn't really anything I thought about, but I started having a lot of agents coming to me and asking questions and needing guidance and help. And to try to consolidate my time a little bit, I created a thing called Tuesday Tune-Ups. And so every Tuesday, I would do a training open to any agent with any company, anywhere that they wanted to. Well, then I started getting some attention for those classes, and I started having people come to me. And I remember a gal named Darlene came and said, have you ever done any public speaking, or do you have any interest in doing any public speaking around the country? I'm like, well, sure. I don't know what that would look like, but I'd be happy to. And they said, well, they would pay me and pay for my travel. I'm like, done deal, right? And so I signed with a manager, and they have basically had me go around the country and speak at a lot of different events. And I've found that it's really something that I love. It really feeds my soul in a lot of ways to be able to help a lot of people in the real estate industry. And now I'm starting to work more towards doing that in a motivational way outside of the real estate industry with, as you know, my book that I'm working on and hoping to get finished here this year. My book is called 100 Things I Love About You. And since it's Valentine's Day, we probably should tell that story, huh?
Yes, I'm actually excited for you to tell that story because like I mentioned, and I mentioned this in the commercial that I published late last night, the truth is that there's a lot of Marguerite-isms, I call them, that come into my daily life, be it professionally or personally, and different opportunities that you've poured into me and shared experiences with me that I'm able to go out and I actually am able to quote you and encourage others in their life. But I think that one of the most important things that I've ever heard you say is when divorce is an option, you figure it out. So I think that is a great lead into your book. And if you want to share that story, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so being Valentine's Day today, we'll talk a little bit about my relationship in my book. I'm very, very blessed to have been with Joe Crespillo, my husband, we've been married, it'll be married 28 years in May. We've been together 33 years. Took him a while to propose. But like any relationship, I think that many times people get caught up in the candy and roses of it and forget that there's other parts to it and there's struggles and challenges that every relationship goes through. And mine was no different. We went through some personal tragedies with the loss of our 10-year-old son, and some of you may be familiar with Jordan and the Jordan Fund Golf Tournament we did for many years here in Lincoln. And very few marriages survive the death of a child, but very few marriages survive anyway, just because of struggles that are not nearly as devastating as losing a child, but financial pressures and job pressures and who the heck knows? There's a million reasons. So Joe and I went through a period of time where we were really struggling and truly, seriously thinking about not sure we're going to make it. And we had that day where we woke up one day and I said, today's the day. We're either going to go to a counselor or an attorney, but somehow this relationship is going to change. It's no longer working for either one of us anymore, and we need to figure out a way. Well, luckily, my husband made the decision to go to a counselor, not an attorney. And I remember we went to the counselor. In the very first appointment, you go and they ask you, okay, why are you here? And he says, well, because she made me, and that didn't go over very well. And the second appointment, you go back and they talk about your family background. And Joe and I came from very completely polar opposite backgrounds. He comes from an old world Spanish family. His parents were married for 60 years. Large family. His mom was at home mom. His dad worked. Very traditional old world Spanish family. Me, on the other hand, raised by a single mom, very poor single mom, who, has since passed away, but had some challenges in relationships, didn't stay married very long, and came from a very, very different, complete opposite background. So we both had our own ways of coming into this relationship. So the third appointment you go to, and the counselor says to me, okay, you were going to come separately. I went separately. He says, look, I want you to make a list of the things that you love about him. And I said, I don't think I can come up with any of those right now. And he said, well, I would like you to go home. I go, I've made a pros and cons list, and the cons outweigh the pros. He goes, no, let's eliminate the cons. Let's just focus on the pros.
Right.
Go home and make a list of the things that you love about him. And I said, okay. So I made it my goal to try to come up with 100 things that I loved about him. But I'll tell you, it took me several days before I could even come up with any. And truth be told, I only made it to 45. But that list of 45 I gave to my husband that year on our anniversary. And I have to tell you, the bottom line is my husband Joe did not really change anything, with all due respect. What happened is my perspective changed. The way that I looked at him and the way that I saw him, instead of looking at all the things he was doing wrong, I started to pay attention to all the things he was doing right.
Right.
And so consequently, we're still together, thank goodness. And that list, I have told that story countless times, and it has saved many relationships,
right.
including, we've talked about yours. And so I've decided, after many people have asked me, that is going into a book. And I'm working with a good friend of mine who's helping me, and we're putting that together. And I'm also going to be launching a podcast here in a few weeks, doing interviews of people in their relationships. And so it's really become my passion project, and something that I love. And I'm not sure where it's going to go. I hope that it turns into some speaking things and engagements, and who the heck knows, maybe relationship classes. I'm not sure I'm educated to teach those, but I can tell you that after 33 years, we've raised 6 children. We have a blended family. My husband had 3 with his first wife. We had 3 together. Going through the death of a child, working in the real estate industry, which clearly has its ups and downs. And we've been through some of the worst markets in history, which has, created some challenges as well. I could not be more blessed than to be where I'm at today. So I feel really, I hate to use the word lucky, because I think people, when you say lucky, they think you didn't work for it.
Right.
And clearly we've worked not only for our relationship, but worked really hard in what we do for a living.
So a couple things that you mentioned that were really interesting to me. Number one is just relationships as a whole, and really how that pertains, in your life, your relationships with your children, your relationships with your husband, your relationships with your clients, and things like that, and how that really just comes full circle in your life. And so for you, what is it that you attribute to your success in your relationships?
I think that one of my favorite quotes, and I don't remember who told me this, but I've heard it many times, is to be more interested than interesting, mm-hmm. right? And I think for many of us, we get so focused on being interesting and trying to be the superstar. Mm-hmm. And I think that the challenge comes in stopping and taking the time and caring what is going on with other people. And so there's a couple things that come to mind. First of all, lately I've been reading the book again. I've read it several times, The 5 Love Languages, mm-hmm. right? Which talks about what your love language is. And when you pay attention to what your spouse's love language is, and when you put in the effort to pay attention to them, people get caught up in, well, it needs to be 50-50. And the truth is, right. It's not 50-50, it's 100-100.
Right.
And, the sun doesn't say, hey, smile at me first, then I'm going to shine on you, right? The sun shines on you. They're not looking for anything in return. And I think too many times we start keeping score.
Right.
Well, you did this, so now I'm going to do that. Well, I did this, so I'm not going to do that until you do this. We're keeping track. We're keeping this subconscious score of what the other person is doing. And that never works in any relationship, whether that's children, friends, family, business relationships. It's if you're going to give, you need to give without any expectation in return. But if you're planning on keeping score, it's a no-win game. It's a no-win game. And so what can you do to see what is important to someone else? How can you help them accomplish their goal? Zig Ziglar, famous quote, you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get everything you want.
Right.
And I think so many times people are, I even see it a lot on social media, which is, the death of many situations, because people are comparing themselves, right? And social media makes it look like, oh my goodness, your life is perfect.
Right.
Well, no, it's not. I just post the perfect stuff, because nobody wants to post the bad stuff, right? And so I think when you looking from the outside in, everything looks great,
right?
And they don't see what the true struggles were that helped people really get to where they want to be and accomplish the goals they want to do. I know even for us, here's some great advice for your relationships. Everyone has their wedding anniversary, right? And so your wedding anniversary comes along, and you go, oh, hey, what do you want to do for your anniversary? I don't know. What do you want to do? Oh, let's go to dinner. Well, where do you want to go to dinner? I don't know. Where do you want to go to dinner? Right? And every time I tell that, people, oh my gosh, that's my life. You're like listening to our life. And so what Joe and I decided is on our 9th anniversary that we were going to alternate whose year it was to plan. So every year, it's either his year or my year to plan. We alternate. He gets all the odd years and I get the even years, I think. Somehow we figured that out. But we make it fun. The first year, he gave me 9 of something every day for 9 days.
Oh.
The next year was our 10th anniversary, and I did a scavenger hunt where I had 10 gifts, and I was at the last one with friends. We've come up with a few rules because we've had some ones go badly. And one of those rules is you can involve friends in planning, but you can't take them along. We decided that wasn't a good idea. And the second one goes back to what I was just talking about is if it's my year to plan, it needs to be all about him and what he would want to do.
That's right.
Right? And vice versa. If it's his year to plan, it's all about me and what I would want to do. And it's become really fun. It's taken the ho-hum out of your anniversary and made it truly a day to celebrate your love and celebrate the other person. And now what we did is we took Valentine's Day, and whoever plans the anniversary, it's the other person's year to plan Valentine's Day. So Joe is in charge of Valentine's Day today, but it's my turn to plan our anniversary this year. But it's just made things a lot more fun and helped us really celebrate our relationship. So if you guys decide you want to do that, I'd love to hear about it. So make sure to post something in the comments, what your ideas are or fun ways to celebrate your love. But if you can focus more on celebrating your relationships, you're more likely to survive.
That's right.
Right?
Yes. So, and I mentioned this also in the commercial that I'd posted, but, you were a huge part of helping me with my current marriage to my awesome husband, Xavier Dela Cruz. And, when I first met you, I met you at a sober grad meeting for the Lincoln High School. And in that meeting, I found you to be somebody who was extremely well-spoken, somebody who I highly admired. We just really hit it off. And at that point, I was with another brokerage, and I was kind of struggling. And so I had come to a Tuesday tune-up and ultimately asked if you would meet with me. And we met, and we talked about, that was the first conversation that we'd had privately. And we really talked about my goals and just my situation as a whole. And I remember you asking me, so tell me about your family. And at the time, I said, well, I'm at this point, I found myself again a single mother with 5 children. I'm currently going through a divorce, and I remember you stopped me there.
Like, what?
You said, is abuse a factor? Are addictions a factor? And I said no to both of those, of course. And you said, well then, figure it out.
Right.
And I remember that it was the first time, during that time period, my husband and I had been separated about 1.5 years at that point, lived in separate homes, and the whole 9 yards, didn't speak. And I remember that was the first time that somebody that I had a real admiration for had given me permission to work on my marriage. And as silly as that sounds, when you've got friends and family and just, the whole 9 yards, everybody has an opinion. And everybody wants to tell you that you are right and that other person is wrong, and that, you would be better off without them. And I feel that people nowadays just really have a tendency to give up too easily. But that was the first time somebody said, that work on it.
Yeah, I think that there's a million reasons to walk away.
Right.
There's a million reasons that you think, oh, the grass is greener. Oh, I'll go find somebody who will do this. And the truth is, the problems always start with you.
That's true.
And nobody wants to look themselves in the mirror and
Right.
say, I could be a better partner. I could be a better spouse. I could be a better, mother, friend, business. No one wants to take responsibility. And one of my favorite books is by John G. Miller, called QBQ, The Question Behind the Question. And I did a podcast with him on my podcast a couple years ago. And I love him. It's a small, simple book to read. But the truth is, when you take 100% responsibility for anything and everything in your life where you are at, you will find a way to fix it.
Right.
But the moment that you want to blame somebody else for why you are where you are, why your relationship isn't working, why the sky is blue, I mean, when the moment you want to try to blame somebody else, then you will no longer put in any effort to fix it because you feel like, oh, I've washed my hands of that, it's not my problem.
That's right.
But the moment that you take 100% responsibility, you'll start to find ways to fix it. And, Marie Forleo says it as well, everything is figure-outable. Like, you can figure it out if you really want it. And too many relationships, you get to a tough point, it's like you've forgotten your vows, and the vows said for, better for worse, right? For sicker or for poor. I mean, for sicker, or healthy or rich or poor. Like, all of a sudden we forgot all of the vows that we said when we got married. And maybe you're not even married, but maybe you're not looking at that relationship like, oh, well, now it's not all wine and roses, so now I'm going to go look somewhere else. Here's the truth, people. You're going to have the same problems with somebody else.
That was so eye-opening for me.
The problems are not going to go away if you don't fix them internally.
Right.
They're just going to be different problems on a different day with a different person.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, so it's actually, Xavier is in my wedding anniversary in 4 days. So we were married on February 18th. So this will be 7 years that we've been married, 4.5 years that we've been back together. We now have a 2.5-year-old that we share. We also have a blended family. A lot of you guys know 9 children altogether. And so our Lily was our tiebreaker. We have 5 girls and 4 boys, and Lily was our tiebreaker, and she, just really encompasses bringing everything for us. But it's funny because I told my husband, now that we've made it through oh my gosh, it just seemed like there was no way we could come back from that rough time in our marriage, and we just have the marriage that we've always dreamed of, and just the love is just so incredible, intense, and even when it's not so great, it's amazing. But now we're coming up on 7 years, so I told him it's time for that 7-year itch, and I keep teasing him. He'd never even heard of it.
Well, I think something, we'll talk about an action item. You can today sit down and make the list of the things that you love about your spouse or your partner or whatever relationship you're in. And maybe today it's not easy to come up with one. But what I promise you is that if you pay attention, you'll start to find them. And if you're newly in a relationship, that's the best time to do it, right? Because you really like them right now.
Yeah.
So right now, while you really like them, write down the big old list. And then every time you get to that place where you don't like them very much and you're rethinking it, pull out that list and remember why you're there. And if you can actually look at that and think about all the reasons why you fell in love with them, who is it? Tony Robbins says, if you do what you did in the beginning, there will be no end.
Right.
And so how much time are you spending celebrating that relationship and celebrating who you are and looking for the finer points in each other? It's so easy to get caught up in all the negative. It's so easy to get caught up in, well, you didn't do this and you didn't take care of that and I didn't do that. And the other thing that I will say is, please treat each other with respect.
Right.
Which means talking to each other respectfully. And people say, oh, well, you have to earn respect. No, you start by being respectful.
That's right.
And then people will be respectful to you.
Yeah.
And, I see too many people talk so rudely and mean and condescending to their spouse. We have a couple rules. We don't talk about divorce. We don't call each other names.
That's right.
We don't cuss at each other. We don't, say bad words or negative things or call each other, mean things.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you that in 33 years, there have been moments. Okay?
Right.
So I'm far from perfect. There have been, but we've also learned from those that that's not cool, you know? And it's like and some days I wake up cranky. There it is. I put it out there for the world to see. And on those days, we've learned that I need to not take it personal, right? And just be kind.
Yeah.
Just be kind. And that is the best example you can give your children. That is the number one way to raise great kids, is to be great parents.
That's right.
And I feel blessed that, our children are all grown now. Jake and John went to Lincoln High, and Jake is now a karaoke DJ at Sully's and Almond Tree. And I get compliments about our boys all the time.
Yeah.
And I would love to take credit for that. They're great kids. But I believe that we raised them by example.
That's right.
We showed them what it was like to have a good relationship and to be kind to each other. And I think that's the number one thing that you can do as human beings, is to be kind.
That's right. And I find it interesting, in our line of business, we actually come into people's worlds in such a incredible capacity, where sometimes the reason why they've called us into their worlds is because they are going to go through a big life-changing event, such as a divorce. And so we wear many hats, and one of those is therapist, certainly, so I've heard you actually consult with potential sellers and impart some of the wisdom that you have in that situation to actually talk yourself out of a listing, because that's the right thing for that family.
For sure. I mean, I think that I think that just goes back to being human, right? As human beings, our job is to help and support people the best we can.
Right.
Sometimes that decision is not to our benefit, right? Meaning we're not going to sell that home or whatever the situation is. And sometimes it comes back. It always comes back around in a positive way.
Oh, yeah.
But if I can help save a relationship, that's going to be way more important than selling a house.
Well, and see, that's so my point to that was the fact that we're called into that person's world in that capacity. I believe that our role in that situation was to be there to try and help through that situation, because I feel like we come into other people's lives in different roles, different capacities. Sometimes it's not really what we think it is, and then we get there, and then the reason we're there is actually deeper than what we initially even thought. So,
well, you brought up in the very beginning, and we'll circle back a little bit about what I have done over the years to develop the different relationships. And to me, above all else, the most important thing in my life is relationships, and the people that I'm exposed to and the people that I have the opportunity to help. As a sideline, I sell real estate.
Right.
And real estate has been very, very good to me, and has allowed me to have a life that I could never have imagined. And I know that my mother could not have imagined the life that I live. But most importantly, it has exposed me to so many people from so many different backgrounds, styles, types of people, just such a wide range of different people that I would never have been exposed to.
Right.
And to be able to have the opportunity to help those people. Like, what a great blessing that is. I couldn't be in a better situation ever. And those relationships have led me to so many different opportunities as well, beyond what I do for a living. Opportunities to help in the community, opportunities to help with charity, or to help with different events and functions, or to be a part of the things that I do now. I just think that the wide range of experiences that I've had in my life have allowed me to be exactly where I'm at today, and I could not be more blessed.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean too. Just having that overall, just what makes us who we are as people, and how we're able to interject that and help other people with that experience. So totally off topic, and I love our conversation. I love just the things that you've shared, and how this, hopefully anybody watching who's maybe having some difficulties in their relationships, hopefully this is very inspiring to you. And I will open it up. I'm having such a good time talking to Marguerite. But I'd like to get your thoughts on what we're seeing right now in the real estate market, just because you are so experienced, and you know up and down, you've been through it all. So what do you think we're seeing right now?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, 25 years I've been in real estate, so I've seen every kind of market that exists, right?
Yeah.
From good to great to bad to really bad to, wow, that sucked, types of market. And the truth is that there is a need for people to buy and sell in every kind of market. And great real estate agents do well in any kind of market.
Right.
But the truth is that the market has shifted a bit. And, we have a whole generation of people who have only seen certain types of markets, right?
Yeah.
It's either been an extreme seller's market or an extreme buyer's market. And that's how it's been for many, many years. Well, now it's actually becoming a bit more balanced.
Right.
Just because you bought your house a year ago does not automatically mean that it increased in value by $50,000.
Right.
And some people feel that way, right? They think, well, my neighbor's house sold down the street, my house is better. Same thing, we're not necessarily seeing multiple offers on every home. Sometimes we are, if the house is priced right. Any home will sell if it's priced right, in a good location, in a good condition, right? And I teach people all the time, there are 4 things that sell a home: price, condition, location, and marketing, right? Well, the condition is what it is. You can improve the condition and increase the value of your home, or you can sell it in the current condition and it's going to affect value. You can, the location you can't change a whole lot, but it can affect value. If your house backs up to railroad tracks or a freeway, the value is going to be different than if you're on a cul-de-sac or in the country.
Right.
Pricing comes down to what it is. We as agents don't price your home.
Yeah.
Your house the price that your home will get is whatever the market is willing to bear, what a buyer is willing to pay in the current market, right? So sometimes sellers' numbers are unrealistic from buyers' numbers, and that's the value, I think, of having a really good, knowledgeable, experienced agent who can help guide you through the process. And, sure, people think that it's easy, right?
Yeah.
I hear people say, all they did was put a sign in the yard. And my response to that is, masters make things look easy, right? Tiger Woods makes golf look super easy. I'll tell you, I cannot even hit that damn ball at Top Golf. So,
Me neither.
Right? Like, he's a master. And for us that do it and sell hundreds of homes, we have years of knowledge and experience to make sure that we help you. But so many sellers don't necessarily want to listen to that advice. They want to see, oh, well, here's what Zillow said, or here's what this said, or here's... And the truth be told, get a really good agent who has the reputation and the knowledge to help you, and listen to them.
Right.
And your house will sell.
That's right.
If you don't listen to them, it won't sell. And then what will happen is that listing will expire and another agent will come in, and now maybe you'll listen, and now your home will sold. Well, look what happened during that time.
Right.
I mean, homes were selling at the worst market in history in 2010.
Yep.
They just weren't necessarily selling for what people wanted.
Yeah.
So I think that the market is what it is, and to get the advice and counsel and insight from a really good agent and the knowledge and experience, they're worth their money. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an agent. I'm telling you, if I had to sell my house, I would hire someone else like Mitzi, because I'm too personal. It's too personal. And you can't think rational when you're selling your home. So to me, a good agent is worth their weight in gold.
Totally.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I want to open it up for questions, comments. I'm sure we've got a lot.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of shares so far.
Wonderful.
And Mariah Andre is like loving this whole.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, she's saying a lot of hearts. She's saying this is such a good idea. She thinks that a lot of the advice that she gave is great for people who are considering marriage in the near future.
Yes.
Richard Buss has joined us.
Hi, Richard.
My wife and I met at Wiener Schnitzel, and our first date was on Valentine's Day. So every year we always go to Wiener Schnitzel for dinner. I love those chili cheese dogs.
I love chili cheese dogs too. They have the all beef ones there. So. Good.
And Sonia says, I admire other women who encourage my marriage. Bonnie says, I saw you in northern Wisconsin.
Oh
wow! Yes, I was. I spoke last year in Wisconsin.
I remember that.
Hi, Bonnie.
Jana says, hi, and you rock. Sonia agrees, 100% responsibility. Shelby Lenardi's joined us.
Oh, I love
Shelby.
Shelby.
She says that you guys are awesome.
We love you.
Jana says, John and I will be celebrating 19 years next
Congratulations.
year.
That's
And
fantastic.
Sonia said her husband and her will be celebrating 19 years in April.
Nice.
Aww.
Happy anniversary, everybody. Wonderful.
We lost our light, so I don't know if you guys are seeing any kind of shadow, but yeah.
We're still here.
Yeah. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I just want to say I could not be more proud of what you have done, not only in the Lincoln community. You've far exceeded my expectations, well beyond what I expected of you. And, you really are a true testament to not only what somebody can overcome, but what they can accomplish when they put their mind to it. And I hear nothing but great things about you all the time from everybody I talk to. And I think you've done some amazing stuff here in the Lincoln community, and I could not be more proud.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I definitely would not be where I am today without you, without your guidance. I mean, you were the best mentor that I could have ever ever aligned with, and just somebody who shared my values and also had the experience and the knowledge and the encouragement to back it all up. And I feel honored now that I have the ability to pour into other gals that, I mean, they just happen to be gals, all my mentees right now, but I know that I would not be in a position in a short amount of time to be able to turn around and pour into other newer agents and agents that are looking to take their business to the next level without having a duplicatable example of how you were able to do that for me. And so I cannot tell you, I tear up sometimes. I
It's
think
a love
about
fest.
you. It's a true story. It's just so incredible. Just thank you. Thank you for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love this show. I'm super proud of you, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Well, thank you. So tell us about the raffle prize. We got to hear about.
Yes. We're it's the chocolate.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We'll let you tell it.
Okay, so I happen to be on the committee for the Chocolate Lovers Ball, so I'm extremely excited. I don't know who, everybody who's watching, who's in the Lincoln area or South Placer, even if you had to drive up from, I don't know, somewhere far, come from Fairfield, come from Oroville, come wherever, just come March 2nd.
March 2nd or May 2nd?
March.
Okay.
Yeah. See that?
Oh, okay.
You can
All
come.
right.
So March 2nd, so we'll be at the Orchard Creek Ballroom, which is right here in Lincoln Hills, Sun City. They just hired a new chef. I went to the tasting the other day. The food is going to be incredible. There's a beef option. There's a chicken option. But it's a 4-course chocolate meal. So there's chocolate infused to every part of the meal, from the incredible salad dressing that's so good. And for those of you that haven't had anything similar, it might sound a little crazy, but I'm telling you, it is so good. There's chocolate wine. There's an incredible signature drink. So unfortunately, you do have to be, okay, let me back up. You have to be 21 and older to attend the event. You don't have to be 21 to win these tickets, because you can obviously gift them to somebody else. But anyway, 2 tickets to the Chocolate Lovers Ball. And I'll tell you what, it's a formal event. They're $85 a ticket. So this is a huge raffle prize. And you know, we're actually going to have a table, so you join us at our table. We'd love to spend time with you, get to know you better, and yeah, so that's what we've got. So
awesome. How exciting.
Yeah, so if you share this video by noon tomorrow, so noon on Friday, and comment shared below in the comments there, so that we know you shared, we can give you credit for sharing and get you entered into that raffle. And I just wish you all the best of luck.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's a true honor to be here. I'm super honored. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. You guys have a great day, and happy Valentine's Day. Go celebrate those relationships.